I saw a CDC report that said roughly 11% of kids today have ADHD. ADHD is a really common diagnosis. So here are some things not to say to someone with ADHD, because this won't be helpful and it'll actually be demotivating and invalidating often. So here are some things to not say, okay? Do not say, well, everyone has a little ADHD sometimes. I hear that one quite a bit. So here's why that's not helpful. It dismisses the real challenges of ADHD. And it kind of reduces it to, oh, well, that's totally normal, when it's actually a neurological condition. It minimizes the struggle and might make them feel invalidated. Don't say, and I actually used to say this to, I have a daughter who's now an adult with ADHD, but I used to say this to her when she was younger until I learned kind of how ADHD works. But basically I would say, just try harder, or if you wanted to, you could focus. Here's why I would say that, and here's why this can be confusing, is I would put her in front of anything artistic. She had incredible focus. In fact, she hyper-focused. We couldn't get her off of that because her sustained attention was so strong. But then I'd put her in front of math homework and it was the opposite. And I would think, oh, well, you're just choosing not to pay attention. Well, the issue with ADHD is it's those things we wouldn't choose to do where we struggle. So it's not about willpower or motivation. Again, it's a neurological condition that makes it really difficult to concentrate and stay on task. Also, do not say, that's just an excuse. So, here's why that's not helpful. It can be extremely invalidating and hurtful for someone who actually has ADHD. It is a disorder, and there's so much, wealth of scientific research behind it. It can worsen their self-esteem and confidence when you just kind of poo-poo it and say, oh, that's not a real thing. Another one is, why can't you just sit still and focus? So here's why that's not helpful. It kind of comes across as, what's wrong with you? But that's an ADHD trait. And a person with ADHD isn't behaving that way often on purpose. Asking questions like this can sound accusatory, making them feel like their symptoms are a choice. Another one to not say is, you're just being lazy. Many people with ADHD struggle with executive function, which makes it hard to organize tasks or stay on top of their responsibilities. So labeling that as laziness is kind of hurtful and not correct. Another one is, you just need to get more organized. So again, this isn't helpful because executive function is an area, and organizational skills are a really common weakness for those who have ADHD. So implying it's as simple as, hey, try harder, can be really frustrating. And then lastly, don't say, well, you don't really seem like you have ADHD. So where I find that coming up is, there's several kind of types of ADHD. One is called inattentive ADHD, where someone's not hyper. They might be looking right at you, but their mind's on something else. So it can be hard to tell they're not paying attention. And I think in those cases, easy to say, you don't have ADHD. You're not bouncing off the walls. Well, it's not always visible. Also, a lot of people with ADHD have worked hard to develop coping strategies. So the fact that they don't seem like they have ADHD, kind of a compliment in one sense, but it can feel really dismissive if you just say that's not really true. So the key is, instead of these kind of phrases, just offer empathy and understanding. Phrases like, hey, I'm here to help you with whatever you need. Well, that sounds really tough. Let me know how I can support you. Or thanks for explaining that to me. I didn't understand how ADHD works. Those can be really helpful in your support of someone with ADHD.